Hello and welcome to the Content Show. I'm Simon Kearney from Click to View, and this is episode 10. Hard to believe we've made it. This week we're talking about social video. There's been a host of apps and platforms that have come out. You've possibly heard of something called Lumen 5, which makes it very easy to create videos. You can even import a blog and it automatically creates a lot of the elements of the video. Just recently Vimeo and YouTube have both brought their own products to the market in this space. So we thought it'd be a good time to compare and look at some of the offerings in the market. So the team's done a really cool video walkthrough and blog comparing 5 of these, including the Vimeo and the YouTube one, as they'll probably get quite a bit of reach coming up. It was quite funny doing the headlines for this blog. We put it through the SEO engine and we got some quite bland results. It's all about basically making great video easy, which is kind of my point, is these platforms won't help you make great video. They'll make it easier for you, but the visual storytelling element really comes from within. And I think that's the point I want to make. This is soft automation. This is helping people who aren't technicians get access to tools and shortcuts to make really cool, interesting social videos really quickly and simply. So I think what it's going to do is allow a new generation of visual storytellers emerge using these tools. They don't have to be technicians to do it, but it won't make you make great video. And I think the final point that I would make is based on my suggestion for a headline, which is I sell custom video for a living and I'm writing this blog to hasten my demise, which is a bit tongue-in-cheek. But as any brand that tries to go it alone with some of these tools without a plan or without a strategy will find it's quite difficult. So I think I'm fairly safe for the time being. If you want to see the video, hit the card in the top right hand corner of the screen or search for our YouTube channel at the link below, and also our website for the blog post. Speaking of plans and strategies, also this week I'm speaking to Andrew Crombie from Scalpel Works, which is a new brand and innovation agency that's focused on the healthcare sector. Now, Andrew's a veteran in the advertising and marketing space in Asia. He's been around for a long time. He's also a practitioner of design thinking, which I also know has been around for a long time, but I find it fascinating. So I wanted to talk to Andrew about how do you apply design thinking to content. He'd been talking to me earlier about, there's so much content out there at the moment, especially during this pandemic. How do you make sure that it really speaks to your customer's journey?
We were talking a couple of weeks back and you mentioned sales funnel and so on. I think that's one way of looking at it. I think the richer way and the way that design thinking looks at it is that it puts more of emotion at the heart, and it understands that people start with dreaming about doing something or some sort of inspiration that makes them start thinking about something, at the first phase, and then they go into sort of an exploring or an investigation phase, and then they locate your product, and then they try to achieve with it. What we do with design thinking is try and shape what content would be best along each of those stages.
Andrew told me that the opportunity of the disruption that we're all going through at the moment is to really understand better and learn more about what your customers' motivations are, what's tugging at their heartstrings during this time and this transition into what's being called the new normal.
There's a great opportunity to go and understand how that's changed, what their new values are, what their new fears are, what the hindrances are to them getting there, and then creating new content that will get them there in the new world, basically. So, content has changed and will change quite a lot, and there's a great opportunity.
In some ways, it seems not so difficult. The key being, find out where your customer's self-interest lies and then cater to it.
If you understand the customer journey, if you understand what they're trying to do and what the problems and the gain and pain points are, then you can understand better what content's going to be more relevant, what's the stuff you should be producing, and what's the stuff you can forget.
If you want to watch that video, again, hit the card in the top right hand corner or go search for our YouTube channel, which you can see the link below. Andrew also shared with me some of the best content I've seen so far during the pandemic, and it comes from appliance manufacturer Whirlpool, who realized that all parents, I'm a parent, are really struggling at the moment with the combination of like home childcare and home learning. So they basically came up with a how-to guide for kids to do chores around the house, which is absolutely brilliant. It's called Chores Club, and I heartily recommend having a look at it. It's got instructions on how to fold clothes out of the wash, all sorts of things. So really cool stuff. This week, I'm changing our usual format, and I'm going to combine David and Artur's segments. So, you know David's our editorial content director. We usually talk about the week's content marketing news.
The moment you see it, you're like we talked about last week. You're noticing, well, this can't be current. This can't be now.
And Artur, who's our scripted content director and Singapore's most famous Russian comedian, he goes through the week's branded content picks.
We decided to make something very short and fun.
So I wanted to try and mix it up a little bit, and we're going to combine those two, combine the segments together.
I'm ready to see the Indian version of Easy Rider now.
And here we go. And we're back. It's our new format. So welcome David and Artur. David being our editorial content director, and Artur, Singapore's most famous Russian comedian and Click to View's scripted content director.
Thank you very much. Hello,
and
guys.
we've got a cameo here in the corner by the list.
Yes. Well, thanks for having both of us.
I was talking earlier about some content that was shown to me. Was Whirlpool in the States, the appliance manufacturer, came up with a whole website just designed to teach kids chores around the house. Mm-hmm. So how to fold the laundry, how to do the washing up, all sorts of things.
The Chore Club, it looks like a good thing, although a lot of it seems like it's a lot of chores for the parents to set up, but some of it might be worth investigating.
Well, it couldn't be more silly than some of the home learning exercises I've been given to show the kids.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So firstly, talking about social video, Artur, you wrote a wonderful blog this week about all of the top 5 social video platforms. What do you think? What are your thoughts about social video, and is this a threat to video production, or is it really just in my view, is it soft automation?
I agree with your view. I think, as with any technology, it's just a tool, and it's basically how you use it and in which situations you use it. So definitely the same way that we see that in the last few decades, there is the trend of all the costs of video production overall dropping, and that's why now making corporate videos, making big movies, everything getting a bit cheaper and much more accessible. I think this social video tools is basically the same democratization of the content creation for marketers and comms professionals, because if it's something as simple as putting some stock images and B-rolls with some text on screen and music in the background, probably some of this stuff is actually can be done faster by the marketer himself if he just types it out and that's it. And then you can just save time and basically focus more on something more strategic and reach out to your creative partners to create something bigger and more complicated, specialized thing. So I definitely see it as a positive trend. I don't think it will really threaten unless your video production agency specializes on making this very simple, cheap, fast turnaround jobs. But probably the realities and the future of marketing, the job of the marketers is that they probably have to raise their game in terms of content creation anyway. So I guess we'll see more and more videos created like that.
What do you think, David?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's very timely right now because just my wife was getting questions from some of her friends who are now at home away from their teams, needing to do a quick video, and they just want to do it on their computer by themselves. And they were asking, what are the alternatives, the cheaper alternatives than buying Final Cut Pro or Adobe Premiere, something like that. So for people like that video creation is not their key function, but they need videos anyhow, this is really helpful to just help them do some really quick and get them out of the way without bothering anyone else and move on to the next task.
Yeah, I think that's why I really like them. Like I think if you've got a fairly well developed visual storytelling sense, it just makes it a lot easier. And there's so many other great tools out there. There's a whole bunch of mobile ones which we haven't even got into. These are really sort of the
desktop,
desktop big desktop ones. So moving on to the week's branded content releases, and Artur, we're starting off with a groundbreaking piece of work. Perhaps you could tell us a little bit more about that.
Did you mean groundbreaking as if all of our work hasn't been groundbreaking to date?
No, of course not. Although
breaking fresh ground, yes.
My interviewee
continue to break ground.
My interviewee this week, Andrew Crombie, did mention that if he sees another 5 working from home video tips, so I was very quiet at that point.
Yeah, because we did 4, so we're kind of like that. We're playing with the fire. We're walking on the edge. But that was kind of the video that we did for one of our regular clients, Visa, is basically a fun twist on the usual work from home productivity tips. And of course, there are gazillions of blogs and videos about that. So we decided to make something very short and fun, and basically every tip has some humorous twist. Like if it's social distancing, it can be applied at home, but you're social distancing from your fridge, from TV, from sofa that are distracting you, and the same way you have all the other tips. So it's one of the series of those fast turnarounds animation jobs we do, and I think animation is a great tool, and comedy can be applied easily there. So it's always fun to work on them.
Indeed. Now we've got a bit of Egyptology coming up next, archaeology. Perhaps tell us about that.
Well, for this one, that's one of the case study videos that Google produced. So essentially it talks about the Egyptian lady who is a researcher and who is utilizing all the Google tools available now, like Scholar, all the galleries and everything to teach the students. And apparently I didn't know that she says that almost like 95% of students in Egypt have never actually been to temples and religious sites. And most of the research about Egypt history and culture is done overseas. And that's why she says that all these tools basically, again, they help to find things much faster. Something that took 3 months before, now is you just type it out in 3 minutes, you have everything. Plus, of course, because you don't need to travel, or you can't travel, you have all these images from all the galleries and temples, and you can see all the artifacts. So it's, again, like, I think it's very helpful.
Yeah, and even using satellite imagery in her course as well to visit places that you can't really see on the ground, but you can see under the sand, because of the satellite image. It's really interesting too.
I think she even said that we are doing space archaeology now.
Yeah, it's a good term.
That sounds cool. Now it was Mother's Day on Sunday, and Huawei. Artur, Huawei is a bit of a favorite of yours. It pops up from time to time.
Yeah, they wrapped up the content creation and produced quite a lot of good videos. So yeah, first of all, to all the moms who are watching this, congratulations! It's your day.
Belated
like any other day. We appreciate everything that you're doing to us. So happy Mother's Day.
I think in lockdown, most mothers probably just wish their husbands weren't there.
The best gift, right? The best gift they wish they had. But Huawei basically just features 3 personal stories of 3 moms with their kids and how they're using technology in their day-to-day balance of work and personal life. And some are using smart speakers to play bedtime stories for their kids. I think some other kid is learning programming. Another is using the tablets for online classes. And basically all the kids are already quite advanced. And I think one of them is already says, I want to grow up and teach kids online. I want them to help them grow. And then, of course, the parents say that probably we're not spending enough time, so sometimes I'm worried that I'm a bad mother. And then the kids say that, no, mommy, "You're the best," and everyone cries, and it's all very emotional and happy.
Yes. Yeah, it had the tear-jerking moment for all three at the end, which was nice to see.
That's wonderful. What is it about sadness? So sadness seems to really, really sort of work in this region.
It wasn't just sadness for this one. It was, it's supposed to be heartwarming, touching,
Yeah, it was not like no one died. So it was not sadness. It was more like, oh, actually, my kid really loves me.
And Harley Davidson in India, which is really just teasing us about being able to go outside.
Oh yeah. Harley is also another content creation machine. Their YouTube channel always publishes a lot of videos from events and everything, and this is one of their personal stories with the barista by day and the biker by night, who basically says that biking is his legal drug, and also he thinks that Harley Davidson is the only motorcycle brand in the world that actually pays so much attention to the sound, that the sound is so thrilling that you don't really need to listen to music when you're driving it, and it just gives freedom and reality of life and nirvana.
Yeah, this was my favorite of the picks this week because I thought it really naturally had a Indian flavor to it without being stereotypical or relying on tropes. It was just a really unique Indian style adaptation of what being a biker means, and I'm ready to see the Indian version of Easy Rider now.
That's quite cool. I mean, we've seen that with clients, getting content produced in content produced in China, say, and trying to avoid those sort of Western stereotypes of China, for instance. Getting content with sort of like rice paddies and straw hats, when actually China's a huge industrial and urban powerhouse these days.
Yeah, and the same for featuring these Chinese mothers who basically use technology day to day, and it's not only about rice farming in the field, right?
No, exactly. Well, actually, rice farmers, I'm going to talk about this more in another episode. Farmers in China are now live streaming to sell their produce, so that puts them well ahead of probably at least many farmers I know growing up where I come from in Australia.
Yeah, that's quite an exciting one. Yeah, I also can't imagine Russian farmers having the connection and skills to stream anything. If anything, they just ran to birds that fly over.
I would watch that. In fact, I was listening to an interview with the CEO of YouTube. Sure. And apparently there's a genre on YouTube now called FarmTube, which is hugely popular, which is farmers going around just talking about what they do on their farm.
Oh.
What's the final one? So it's another tease. The Four Seasons Hotel in Mexico, a restaurant showing us what we're all missing out on.
Yeah.
This is not one of those ones where there's like 2 guests left and they can't leave.
Yeah, I think they probably filmed it before the things happen. Yeah, but it's a nice personal story of the multi-generational passion for cuisine, where the guy said that all my family members, they always were cooking. I was doing my homework while I was at the tables, basically in the restaurant. So I grew up in this area, and now he opened a classic Greek restaurant, but all the local produce is being used to cook the food. So again, communicating passion, but basically created by the large hotel brand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is another one. I was surprised they didn't have a mention that perhaps it was filmed before social distancing rules, because the moment you see it, you're like we talked about last week. You're noticing, well, this can't be current. No. This can't be now.
Where are the face masks?
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Where they're touching each other.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they're sitting so close to each other. Mm-hmm.
David, I've got to say, you've got the patience of a saint. I've been watching your kids sort of crawl all over you.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I've locked the door here. I'm like, I kicked them out and locked the door.
And it's like I'm being attacked now. The call's almost over, okay?
All right. Well, look, thank you, Artur. Thank you, David. And thank you, everyone, for watching this episode 10 of The Content Show.